Thank you. It's good to see you. It's been almost a year since I've gotten to hang out with you, which is crazy. So sixth graders, we haven't even met yet. My name is Lauren, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. If it's your very first time, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. We hope to see you again soon. Now, we are in this series called, say it with me, Sticks and Stones. Perfect. You crushed it. And Kevin, my friend Kevin, kicked us off a couple weeks ago, and he talked about bullying, right? Y'all remember that? Thank you. Yes, that's what he talked about a couple weeks ago, and he actually talked about bullying with what y'all said about bullying on Instagram. Remember, you submitted, hey, this is how I define a bully, this is what I count as bullying, and he talked about that. And this is how he defined bullying, and I think it's so good. This is what he said. He said, bullying happens when someone repeatedly chooses to use negative words and forceful actions to tear down another person. Now, the key word there is repeatedly, right? A bully is someone who continues to use negative words and forceful actions towards usually the same person or the same group of people over and over and over again with the goal of tearing them down. So maybe he said that and you were sitting here, and hopefully no one in this room is a bully, but maybe you were sitting here and you heard that and you thought, well, that's not me because I don't do that repeatedly. I don't use negative words and forceful actions towards the same group of people or the same person repeatedly. But if we're being honest, we're all flawed humans. We all make mistakes. We all sin. And there's a good chance that we have used negative words or forceful action towards someone at least once in our lives. We have said something mean before. You have punched your brother or sister before. And it wasn't over and over. It wasn't repeatedly, but it did happen. And so that's what I want to talk about today, because the truth is that we will all say something mean at some point. Maybe you said something mean this morning. Maybe you said something mean last week or, a few months ago that you're still thinking about. And so what do we do when we say something that we regret? What do we do when we say something that we wish we could take back? But before we get there, I want to talk about why do we even say mean things? Why does that happen? So why do we say mean things? I think there's a few reasons why, and these are just for me personally. I was thinking back to when I have said mean things before, why did I say them in that moment? And the first reason is we want attention from others. So we say something with the hopes of getting a laugh, right? We say something mean to someone because it will cause other people to laugh about it, and they'll like us if we're funny. They'll like us if we make them laugh. But at what cost? Now there's someone who is hurt. There's someone who is upset. There's someone who is mad at us. There's someone who is wondering if the words we said about them were true, all because we wanted attention from others. We wanted a laugh. Another reason why we say mean things is we don't think before we speak. You ever been in that situation where you're arguing with someone, maybe a brother or a sister, and you're just saying stuff, and your brain doesn't even have time to take in what all you're saying, and eventually you just say something that if you had 3 seconds to think about, you wouldn't have said it. But before you know it, the words are out. You wish you could take them back, but it's too late because we weren't putting any thought to our words. And the third reason why I think sometimes we say mean things is we want to win, quote unquote, win. Whatever the conversation is, whatever the argument is, whatever is going on, we want what we want. We're thinking about ourselves and we want to win. You want to play the Xbox next, so you steal the controller from your brother. You want McDonald's for dinner, so you yell and you fight and you drown out what your brother and sister are saying so your parents only hear you. You want what you want. But do we actually win when we end up hurting someone? But the truth is that this is gonna happen at some point in our lives, right? We're gonna say something mean. You're probably very nice people, much nicer than I am, and maybe you never say anything mean ever, but maybe one day that will happen. And so what do we do when we say something that we wanna take back? Our natural inclination, what we typically want to do, is we convince ourselves that it wasn't that big of a deal, right? We're like, it wasn't, I've said worse, come on. it wasn't that bad. They probably forgot about it already. I'm sure they're not even thinking about it. We want to move on, and we assume that's what the other person wants too. We want to move on, and we assume that's what the other person wants too. And so we tell ourselves, it wasn't that bad. They forgot about it. Nothing to worry about. It would be awkward if I brought it up. But we've all been on the receiving end of hurtful words, and what do we not do? Move on. We think about it. Because we know, Transit, we've talked about this before, that words are sticky. There's power in our words, and they stick. And so when someone says something hurtful to us, we think about it for a long time. It makes us sad. It makes us angry. We wonder, can I be friends with that person anymore? Because what they said about me was really mean. And we wonder if it's true. And so if we know what it feels like to have mean words said to us, if we know what it's like to be on the receiving end of that, if we know the kind of pain it inflicts, if we know how long those words stick around, why would we ever want to do that to someone else? And what does that mean for our faith? Because I do think that our words and our faith go together. I think Jesus cares about our words. And actually, I know this to be true because he talks about it. So in Matthew, which you just found out in the game, that's the first book in the New Testament, right? You probably already knew that, you're very smart. But in Matthew's chapter 5, 6, and 7, in the Sermon on the Mount, which is this sermon that Jesus gave on where? A mountain, yes. Sermon on the Mount. I wish someone was like, a pool, sermon in the pool. He talks about all this. He gives a ton of lessons for life on what it looks like to be a follower of him, to love people well, to treat people well. And he talks about reconciliation. And this is what he says. And now there's a lot of words that we don't really use anymore in this. So we're going to read it and then we'll talk about it. But this is Matthew chapter 5, verse 23 and 24. He says, "Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar," it sounds kind of funny, but we'll come back to that, "and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First, go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift." So if you are offering your gift at the altar, I don't know what that means. Well, what that means is if you are in church, or if you are worshiping, or if you're praying, you're spending time with God. And during that time, you remember there is someone, not just your actual brother or sister, a friend, someone in your life who you have hurt. And they probably have something against you. They're probably upset, disappointed, angry, whatever that feeling is. They have something against you. If in that moment you remember that, stop everything you're doing and go and make things right. That's out of obedience to Jesus' words. He says we should be prioritizing reconciliation. We should care that we're good with the people around us, especially if it's our fault. We need to take responsibility and we need to apologize. So go and do that. And I know this talk is kind of funny because I don't know everyone's situation. I don't know what your family is like. I don't know what your friends are like. I don't know if someone came to mind in that moment. I don't know that. And so I want to give you plenty of time later on to discuss that. But I think if you're sitting here and if someone did come to mind, maybe it's one of your parents from this morning that you were just super rude to for no reason. Maybe it is a sibling that you had a huge fight yesterday. Maybe it's a friend that you said something that was not true about them and people heard about it. Whatever it might be, if someone came to mind, I think it's important that we listen to that. And I think it's important that we make things right by apologizing. And so there's this trick that I've learned it's a great way to remember how to apologize. And there's 4 steps, and it's called stop. And I love that because it kind of goes along with the verse of whatever you're doing, stop and go apologize. So when you stop to go apologize, here's the steps. The first step is say you're sorry. I'm sorry that I hurt you. This is not how to apologize. You don't say, I'm sorry that you feel bad. I'm sorry you feel sad. No, you're not apologizing for their reaction. Their reaction is valid. You're apologizing for what you did. So I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I caused that. I'm sorry I caused that pain and that frustration. The second step is take responsibility. Say what you did. Claim it. Don't make it some vague, like, I'm sorry about that thing that happened. Okay, bye. I'm sorry that I said something to you that was mean. I'm sorry I called you that name. I'm sorry I made fun of you in front of people. I did it for a laugh, and that's not cool. I did it because I cared more about the fight than you as a person, and that's not cool. Take responsibility for your actions. The third step is offer to make it right. And this one can be pretty difficult. Because you could say, like, how can I make this right? And they may not have an answer. Maybe they will. But if what you did was public, then a way to offer to make it right is, I will go to the people who heard what I said, and I will also apologize to them. If I said something untrue about you and other people heard about it, or if I told people something about you that was untrue, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna clarify that what I said wasn't true, and I shouldn't have said it. And so that's when your apology to one person can become an apology to others as well. But that's part of an apology. You got to offer to make it right. And the fourth step is promise it won't happen again. And this is also tough too, because like I said earlier, we are flawed people. We make mistakes. But a way to promise that it won't happen again is giving them permission to call you out on it. Like, hey, if I say something about you again that is rude, and if I don't own up to it soon enough, you have permission to call me out. You have permission to follow up and say, hey, you did it again. Hey, that thing you said was really mean. Hey, I've heard this rumor about me that's not true, and it's all coming back to you. Call me out on it. That's okay. And so those are 4 steps to an apology that I think are super helpful. And so maybe you're sitting here and you're thinking, well, that thing that happened was like months ago, and it would be super awkward for everyone for me to apologize. Maybe not. Or maybe there's someone here today that you know you need to apologize to. Maybe there's someone who's gonna be in your car on the way home that you know you need to apologize to. And the truth is that now is the time to apologize. Now is the time to apologize. There's no better time than now. And so my challenge for you today would be, if there's someone here who you need to apologize to, don't leave without doing it. If there's someone in your car on the way home, don't get out of that car without doing it. If there's someone in your home, if there's a friend, whoever that is, what if today was the day you decided, I'm gonna make things right and I'm gonna apologize?